Okay, the class is in memory of Jared Orchen, and today we're going to learn the Haftorah of the last day of Pesach. We're getting ready for Pesach anyway, so the last day of Pesach is the right appropriate time to learn. 15:18. What's unique about this Haftorah, it's a very unique Haftorah. The Haftorah speaks about the Moshiach. Everybody wants to know what the Moshiach is going to do, how is he going to look like. Then the only codifier that wrote about Moshiach is Maimonides. Maimonides wrote a book of Code of Jewish Law. Most of the rabbis who wrote a book of Code of Jewish Law wrote only about laws that are practical in our days, in exile. They didn't write about the temple because it's not practical. But many laws they omitted. Maimonides wrote a book about everything. Everything that's in the Torah is in his book. To a point that he wrote that my book, he says, his book will be, you can learn the Bible, and from the 5 books of Moses, go to his book, and you don't. You don't need anything in between. That's how much he was. Then he wrote also laws about Moshiach. How is Moshiach going to look like? How are we going to know who is the Moshiach? What is his job going to be? What is the order of things to take place? Really took his sources, part of it from this chapter, a big part from this chapter. Then this chapter, now why we read the Haftorah about Moshiach in the last day of Pesach? What do you think?
Elijah is supposed to announce the coming of Moshiach.
Well, the first answer is that Elijah is supposed to announce the coming of Moshiach. When is Elijah supposed to announce the coming of Moshiach? When we have a cup of Elijah?
Nisan.
On which day of Pesach? On the first night, right? Shouldn't we read the Haftorah on the first night? Should we read it on the first day? Why in the last day? No.
Elijah comes first, right?
Elijah came the first day and Moshiach came the last day. That's interesting, actually. But there is a few explanations. But the main explanation is, and the true explanation is, the Passover is a celebration of the past and of the future. Like everything in life. Like every Shabbat. We spoke about it a long time ago. Not a long time, but a few months ago. The Torah in the Haftorah, right? We read in the synagogue. The Torah is what God told us in the beginning, what we should do. The Haftorah is the prophets who prophesy the future, kind of. The past and the future. And we are in the middle in the present. Pesach is a celebration of the past, the exodus from Egypt, and the future coming of Moshiach. If you divide it within the first night, the first half of the Seder is about the past. The second half of the Seder, you know that the custom to fill up the cup of Elijah, in Chabad at least, is before benching, after the meal. When we open the door, by the end of the Seder, right? Because in the beginning, it's about the exodus from Egypt. We tell the story, read the maror, read the matzah, what happened? After the meal, we're getting ready to read Afikoman, starting to talk about the future. We're opening the cup of the door for Elijah, filling up the cup of Elijah, talking to God about God. And how we finish the Seder?
Next year in Jerusalem.
Next year in Jerusalem. It's about the future. That's if you take the Seder itself. If you take the 2 nights of the first 2 nights, then the first night is more about the past, the second night is more about the future. If you take the whole holiday, the first Yontef is about the past, the second holiday of Pesach, the last 2 days, are about the future. If you take the last holiday and you divide it into 2, the 7th day is more about the splitting of the sea, about the past. The last day of Pesach is about the future, about the coming of Moshiach. That's why the Haftorah is in the last day of Pesach. We finish the last day of Pesach, we speak to God. Till now we celebrated the past, the exodus from Egypt. Now we are talking about the future. And that's why by Hasidim, the Baal Shem Tov established the concept, a custom, a tradition. Then the last day of Pesach, we make a meal. By the last day, this year it's going to be Monday, is the last day of Pesach, right? Monday night will be the end of Pesach. Monday night, before the holiday is over, when everybody's already on spiel because they want to eat the bread, Hasidic Jews get together and they have a meal. It's called the meal of Moshiach, welcoming the Moshiach. Because the Baal Shem Tov said that in these hours, this day, the light of Moshiach is shining in the world. It means there is an awareness of Moshiach, a strong awareness of Moshiach on this night. It's the day of Moshiach, the last day of Pesach. By Hasidim it used to be, it's called a Moshiach dance, a dance that you dance to welcome Moshiach. And it was a very happy day by Hasidic Jews, since the Baal Shem Tov. Some people called it the Baal Shem Tov's meal, but the real name is the Moshiach's meal. The Baal Shem Tov made it to welcome the Moshiach. It's a meal to welcome the Moshiach. We don't welcome Moshiach with a fast. We don't welcome Moshiach with prayers. We have a meal. We have fun. We sing and we dance and we enjoy it. And that goes very well with the whole concept of, if you realize the Haftorah of Chol HaMoed Pesach, we learned that last year. I'm sorry to remind you, but in the classes, the Haftorah of Chol HaMoed Pesach is also about Messianic thing. What's about? No. Very famous chapter from the book of Ezekiel. Dry bones. The dry bones, the resurrection of the dead. Again, you see, it's all the theme of Pesach. It's all about leading us towards the concept of Moshiach. And the last day of Pesach is the time to speak about the coming of Moshiach.
In theory, shouldn't the dry bones be after this?
It's a good question that I just thought as I was speaking about it. And really, the resurrection of the dead is after the coming of Moshiach, will be after the coming of Moshiach. But maybe, what's the dry bones? I'll tell you the difference. The dry bones is a story that happened already. This is going to happen. Then to install faith in the hearts of the Jewish people, you tell them, guys, don't think it's such a far-fetched idea. It happened already. It happened already by Ezekiel. Not in Israel, in Babylon, in the exile. It happened in the resurrection of the dead. Then don't worry, Moshiach can come and can do it again. That's why I think it's a preparation. If you want to inspire somebody about Moshiach, you tell them what happened already, and then tell them the same thing will happen again. I think maybe that's the reason why it's this the Haftorah of the Shabbos Chol HaMoed from Pesach comes before the resurrection of the dead, comes before the coming of Moshiach. Now the Haftorah starts not with the coming of Moshiach. The Haftorah, I didn't give you the chapters. It's page 1518. What the chapters? It's in the book of Isaiah. The Haftorah begins 1518. Yeah, the Haftorah begins with the end of chapter 10 in the book of Isaiah, the old chapter 11 and old chapter 12. Not so long. But what's the end of chapter 10? It starts with something with the whole story before that. That's explained also why we read it. You know the story with Hezekiah? How do you call him? Hezekiah? Hezekiah, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Judah. Once the Assyrian king came to destroy Jerusalem. The Assyrian king was the superpower, the America of that time. Sargon was his name, the king. Sargon, something like that. Sancherib. Yes, Sancherib was the name. Yes, you're right, Sancherib was his name. That's Sargon. Why? No, this came up. Sargon. Sancherib was the king. And Sancherib came to destroy Jerusalem. Before that, they already conquered pieces of Israel. I think they destroyed 42 cities before they made it to Jerusalem. He came with 180,000, I think, soldiers to Jerusalem. Jerusalem was like a little shtetl. Everything around was destroyed. And he came to Jerusalem Erev Pesach. They arrived with the army. There was a city not far from Jerusalem, a village, Nov. In Nov, he asked to build they built for the king, for Sancherib, a big tower, and he went up on the tower to look over to Jerusalem. He looked over and says, for this I schlepped all my soldiers? Tomorrow, he said, everybody will throw a stone, will destroy the city. He was right. With one stone they would destroy the city. He had his commander-in-chief was a Jew. Sancheriv's commander-in-chief, the head of the army who comes to destroy Jerusalem, was a Jew. Really, huh? Nice. His name was Rav Shokei. Rav Shokei stood over the wall of Jerusalem and gave the Jews in Jerusalem a speech. It was a siege around Jerusalem. He gave them a sermon in Hebrew. Guys, give in. What's the point to fight? Don't you see that you're going to be destroyed? Give in. And the Jews in Jerusalem, well, it was already a famine. The Jews in Jerusalem was saying, oh, what's the point? What's the point? Not only the Jews. The majority of the Sanhedrin ought to give in. Chizkiah was the king, he was standing strong, but he started to think, if the majority of the rabbis are against him, maybe they're right. Don't you have to go after the majority? Doesn't Judaism teaches us to go after the majority? Came to him Isaiah the prophet and told them that a majority of bad people is not a majority. If the majority of the world will tell us to abandon Judaism, we're going to listen to them? No! A majority against God doesn't count. Within Jewish law, we go after the majority. The majority of the Jews says tomorrow we're not going to keep Shabbos, Shoin, Ois. The majority actually believes so we're not going to listen to them. Then he told them, don't be afraid of them. Chizkiah was laying in bed. He turned to God and said, God, now it's your turn. I cannot do anything. Chizkiah didn't have an army. The people were hungry. They were starving. It was Erev Pesach. Chizkiah told them, go celebrate the Seder and Hashem will make us miracles. And Rav Shokei told his king, Sancheriv, his boss, or you conquer them today or never. Because this is a night known to be miracles for the Jewish people. He is a Jew, the Jewish spark woke up in him. Sancheriv said, nonsense. Tomorrow. With his head, he did like this. That night, a plague spread among the army of Sancheriv. Most of them died, the rest ran away. Sancheriv ran away with his two sons. He heard that the two sons overheard that, I think, that he wants to sacrifice them to his God. They killed them. Instead of his sacrifice them, they sacrificed them. And Jerusalem was saved. It was a huge miracle. Huge! Then Jerusalem was destroyed to the Babylons. But Sancheriv, the superpower, who destroyed already 3/4 of Israel, the kingdom of the 10 tribes, the northern kingdom was destroyed by Sancheriv. The lost 10 tribes were the accomplishment of the Assyrian king. Came to little Jerusalem with a king Chizkiah who has no koach to do anything, was saved. Why? Because that's a night for miracles to be done for Israel. Who said that? Rav Shokei said that. The Jew who joined the other side knew the truth. This is the end, the beginning of the Haftorah, is the end of this, is kind of this story. Today,
And what happened to the general, the Jewish general, the bad one?
I think Sancheriv killed them. I think, if I remember correctly. Don't worry, no Jew who joined this came out alive. There is the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe was arrested. 2 Jewish boys in Russia. The KGB. The guys were the biggest communists were Jews. They arrested the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. Kids of Hasidim became communists and arrested. He used to speak to him in Yiddish. Rebbe, come here. In Yiddish. He told them, you think you're going to survive this? Stalin killed all the Jews who became communists. He got rid of them because he didn't trust them. In any case, that's Jews who collaborated with the enemy never came out good from this story.
Today, Assyria will stand at Nov, boasted the king of Assyria as his army marched toward Jerusalem, and waved their hands mockingly at the mount of the daughter of Zion, the hill of Jerusalem, as if to suggest how easy the conquest will be.
That's why I told you, made Jerusalem, garnished. It's a nothing. Go ahead, but
But the Master, God of hosts, will send an angel to destroy them, to cut down with an axe their arrogance, which is as high as the tree branches. The tall, strong ones will be felled and die, and the lofty ones lowered. The army, who are like intertwined branches of the forest, will be cut down with iron, and Lebanon will fall by an angel as mighty as bronze.
Basically, it's a prophecy from Isaiah that the whole be destroyed and nothing will be left from them.
Why does Rashi say the angel will destroy them as opposed to God directly?
Because I think it's written that an angel came and destroyed them. That's what's written in another place in the Bible. But what I mean to say is that's one of the explanations why we read the Haftorah on Pesach, because that happened the first night of Pesach. There's a connection to Pesach. And so far, we're speaking about, you see, after the Syrian army, after this huge miracle, what comes next? Mashiach. After such an unbelievable miracle, the superpower of the world was not able to win this little city, then it's time for Mashiach. That Isaiah now is starting to prophesy what's going to happen then. He prophesied before the story of Sancherib happened. Some people say years before, 10 years, 20 years, maybe more, even more, before it actually happened. Prophecy is not after, it's before. Okay, chapter 11, number 1.
Do not be surprised by this wonder, for a time will come when God will do something even more wondrous, when a staff will come out from the shoots of Yeshai.
Ishai. Who is Ishai?
Jesse.
Who is Jesse?
David's father.
Father of David. A staff will come out from Ishai, it means from the house of David. Moshiach is believed supposed to come is a descendant of David. It says somebody will come out from Ishai, from the father of David, yeah.
A branch will sprout from his roots, who will be the king Mashiach.
Mashiach, he starts to speak about Mashiach. Okay, number 2.
Oh, the spirit of prophecy from God will rest on him. A spirit of
the spirit of prophecy will rest upon him. Continue, I'm sorry.
A spirit of wisdom and understanding, a spirit of counsel and courage, a spirit of knowledge and fear of God.
Okay, let's stop right here. A spirit of chokhmah and bina, knowledge and wisdom and knowledge. What he says?
Wisdom and understanding.
And then he says about Eitzah and Gvura. What is Eitzah and Gvura? Where is it?
Courage.
The spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and courage, spirit of knowledge and fear of God. Now he combines here something very interesting. Counsel is an intellectual thing. Courage is an emotional thing. Spirit of knowledge is an intellectual thing. Fear of God is an emotional thing. Usually, intellectual people are not emotional. Emotional people are not intellectual. Moshiach will have this rare combination, the perfect combination. He will be emotional as much as is needed, and will be knowledgeable as to the utmost. He will be able to combine what we have such a hard time to combine. How much knowledge a person who is into thinking, into knowledge, is more a cold, reserved person. Person who is emotional is more an outgoing person. To combine this, to have the right amount of both of them, that's going to be by Moshiach. And in number 3 comes the real deal.
Before we get there, quick
Yeah,
question.
please.
Does this verse actually rule out a divine Messiah because a divine Messiah cannot fear God?
A divine Messiah. Oh, what do you mean?
Yeah, well, that's the Christian concept. I mean, can God fear God?
I mean, the whole thing doesn't, if you only read one line here, the whole thing doesn't make sense. A human being, Moshiach will not know that he's Moshiach until God will tell him that he's Moshiach. You understand? He might be a great rabbi.
He wasn't descended from the lineage of David.
That's
a whole
beside the
different
point.
issue, yeah.
And you didn't have a father. The lineage goes by father. So to begin with.
Understood.
The sentence in Judaism goes by the father. Jewish or not Jewish, by the mother. If you're a Kohen, a Levi, from the house of David or Judah, it's all by the father. Somebody who doesn't have a father cannot have a lineage.
And also, why would someone who's divine need to be a prophet here, too?
Yeah, but we are the whole thing. But Moshiach will be a person, a human being that was born to a mother and a father. And he will not know that he's Moshiach until God tells him. It's in every generation needs to be a candidate for Moshiach. If God wants to redeem the Jewish people now, this minute, he needs to have somebody to, cannot have a baby to be born in 50 years. The Rebbe writes that in almost, that's how the Rebbe writes, almost in every generation there is a Moshiach.
But many of them were young. I mean,
It's
many of the
it's not a
people.
matter of young or old. It has to be an adult that can lead the Jewish people. He has to be at least somebody that can inspire them. It's a little child, nobody's going to listen to
But
him.
Solomon did 13 or.
Solomon was a king because of his father. If he would show up from nowhere and say, "Oh, I'm smart," who would listen to him? Yeah, when your father is the king, you can be a chacham. But if a Moshiach was to come and inspire the world, I don't think a 12-year-old child can do it. Listen, if he can, good for him, but then he has to be 12 years old at least. He has to be somewhere. But himself, and this is Moshiach, he will not know about it. It's not like he might be born with the potential of being Moshiach. He's a good candidate, but to be the Moshiach, he has to be. Now, the prophet gives us basically the tools, the signs, how we know that he's Moshiach. How we know he's Moshiach. How we know to check him. Number 3.
He will, he will be able to smell whether people are good or evil. Due to his tremendous fear of God, he will not need to judge by appearance or decide what he hears, for he will know the answer in his heart.
Well, no, okay.
Should know the answer in his nose.
Yeah, why does it
Okay.
say?
Only smell.
He
Why
will
does it
judge
say-
the poor.
Why is
Smell is metaphorical.
Why does this obviously smell is metaphorical? Because it quotes, but what is the Hebrew? What does the Hebrew say?
Vericho, smell. He will,
So it's the same.
He will do. He will say, he's good, he's not.
Like a sniff
No, he
test.
gave it a sniff. Vericho, biras Hashem. The point is, he will be able
That's all.
to, he will know by prophecy, basically. You know, when Bar Kokhba, when he started the war, the revolution against the Roman, Rabbi Akiva said that he's Moshiach. And the rabbis, that's in one place. That I think in the Jerusalem Talmud says clearly that he was Moshiach. And Maimonides writes that Rabbi Akiva and the majority of the rabbis said that he's Moshiach. Then, in the Talmudic, I think in the Babylonian Talmud it's written, in Sanhedrin, that he said that he's Moshiach, that the rabbis sent to check if he can smell and judge. And when they saw that he cannot smell and judge, they said, no, you're not Moshiach. Because it's written here that you have to be able to smell and judge. Not by information. You have to know. By divine power. If you don't have it, you're not the Moshiach.
So on what basis does a certain group of people think the Rebbe was the Mashiach?
No, they didn't say the Rebbe was Moshiach. They said the Rebbe was a good candidate to be the Moshiach. It's a difference between a candidate and Moshiach. A Moshiach that we need to tell you that he came is not Moshiach. What's Moshiach? As you're going to read here, the whole world will become a perfect place. A world of peace. That if I need to tell you that Moshiach came, obviously the world did not become yet a perfect place. Then what's the point? You might be the Moshiach, I don't care. You change the world, you didn't change the world. When you change the world, you don't need to prove me. And when you didn't change the world, I don't care. Then it doesn't really, it's not relevant, you understand? That's what I said in the beginning. In every generation needs to be a candidate for Moshiach. The Rebbe was a very good candidate. But Moshiach didn't come yet. Actually, the Rebbe told it once to somebody who told them, the Rebbe is Moshiach. The Rebbe said to him, Moshiach himself did not know that he's Moshiach until Moshiach comes, until Hashem tells him. Then the whole kind of talking is nonsense.
This is, I'm still smell. For people, the most developed sense is sight. We say, "I see what you mean." For animals, it's smell. This is an animal. It's
Very
when a
interesting.
dog sees someone they haven't seen in 10 years, they recognize the person based on its instinct.
By smell.
So maybe that's what this implies. Maybe it's by instinct.
It's no question, but I would say
But
by
it's an
instinct.
interesting allusion to
So
animals.
it's a very interesting. We say, we don't say it by instinct, but we say it by what the word for it?
Nature?
No, there is intuition.
Yes,
By
it's similar to
intuition.
that, but it's
Intuition is not something that you see; it's intuition. You feel it. It's really something that you feel. Really, every time, and the Rebbe, a few times, real times, the Rebbe spoke about stories about other Chabadis, other people that knew things, or he said he felt. He didn't say he knew. He said he felt. He had a feeling to do this and this. That the word what he used was not logic, not he understood that he's supposed to do this. There's a famous story about the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe, once on Yom Kippur. I mentioned the story. Yom Kippur, in the middle of the service day, he took off his towels and he went out. He thought he went out to the restaurant. They're waiting. He's not coming back. They start to look for him all over the city. They found him in a home of a woman who just gave birth. Her husband is surely doesn't even know that she gave birth. And she was freezing cold. And he chopped wood on Yom Kippur, the Alter Rebbe. And he made a fire. And he cooked and he warmed her up. Just to save the baby and save the mother. Then the Rebbe told the story. He said that the Alter Rebbe was sitting in shul. And he felt there is needed there. He didn't say he knew, he had a message. He felt that it's all about intuition. Also, it's almost like smell. That's the concept. But he says here that Moshiach will be somebody that will have an intuition, that he will feel who is right and who is wrong. Who was in the past like this? You mentioned that. Solomon, the judgment of the... Also, think about it, the story with Moses, right? Moses came out, the first day he killed the Egyptian, right? The second day, he saw two Jews fighting. He told one guy, Vayemer Lorosho, he told the bad guy, why are you beating up your friend? He told the bad guy, how do you know he's the bad guy? It was an intuition. Just like by Solomon. The Solomon with the chokhmah of cutting off the baby, it could work out, it couldn't. It's after the story, it's a good story, but before that, it could go the other direction. It's a feeling. But that's the only two stories in the Bible to give that people judge by this intuition.
Is this intuition a lower level of prophecy, would you say?
Probably, yes. What could be maybe even higher level in prophecy. I mean, prophecy is only what God tells you, understand?
Well, where do you think these thoughts are coming from? Wouldn't they be coming from Hashem?
Prophecy, even a great prophet, he doesn't know necessarily everything. He tells him only what God tells him. That's what he knows. Here, talking about judgment, it's an intuition thing that it's with him. You know what I mean? As long as they have the intuition, he can lose the intuition too.
Sounds like divine intuition.
Sure, divine intuition.
But you don't think that
It's
Hashem
a gift from
gives
God.
the...
It's a gift
like,
from- absolutely.
It's like Samson losing his
Absolutely, he
gift.
lost his gift. No, you're right. A tzaddik can lose his intuition. Absolutely.
But Hashem is intuiting, is
Absolutely,
putting that
absolutely.
sense into that.
Absolutely,
Sure.
absolutely. Number 4, what is he going to do when he has this intuition?
He will judge the poor justly, uninfluenced by the power of the rich, and he will rebuke fairly for the cause of the lowly of the land. He will strike down the wicked of the land with the curse of his mouth, sharp like a rod, and he will slay evildoers with the utterance of his lips.
Okay. Everything that he will do is with his mouth. He will not touch anybody. All his power will be with his word. He will slaughter with the mouth. The whole verse speaks about with his mouth. He will judge. He will bring justice. He will defend the poor. Everything with his mouth.
So he's not a military leader according to this passage.
Exactly. That was the problem in Bar Kochba too.
But in Numbers 24, talking about the star, it is a military
Mashiach ben
passage.
Yosef.
Why?
It's the Mashiach ben Yosef.
The military guy.
Is it
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, but Moshiach ben Yosef is not a must. We'll talk about it maybe later, but what must be is the Moshiach that comes from the house of David. That's what must be. There is, according to some traditions in the Talmud and other places, that before the final Moshiach will be a Moshiach before him from the tribe of Joseph, from the tribe of Ephraim, that he will make the wars, and then after he will die, be killed or die, and after him will come the Moshiach, the son of David, from the house of David. But it doesn't have to be like this. It could be like this. What it's written in Maimonides as a code of Jewish law, there's going to be one Moshiach. That's for sure going to be. If it will be a Moshiach before the Moshiach, it's not clear. If you didn't understand exactly what I just said, that's okay. Number 5.
Justice will be the belt on his loins, and faith the belt on his waist.
Continue. Here comes the most beautiful lines. Wow, wow, wow. Go for it.
The wolf will live peacefully with the lamb, and the leopard will lie down with the goat. The calf, the lion, and the fattened ox will graze together, and a young boy will lead them without being harmed.
Wow. Where is this line written?
United Nations.
Yeah, I think so. No, there is a similar line, not this line. But yeah, the idea is that the lion and the will sit together. All the animals will live together. Will be peace in the world. Such a peace that will affect animals too, not just human beings. If Moshiach will do this, do we need proof that he's Moshiach? I'm asking you. If the world will be a peaceful world, we don't need
Didn't that
proof.
happen on the ark, Noah's ark?
Very good, very good. In Noah's Ark was a sense of Moshiach. Where before that was it?
Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
Garden of Eden. That we basically going full cycle. We're going back to the original plan. Not inventing anything new. God started this way. The snake spoke to Eve. It was all a nice, happy family. Everybody was getting along. Then the most important thing of Mashiach is peace. Bringing peace to the world. As long as there is fight and jealousy and competition, which means Mashiach doesn't come. When Maimonides writes, what will be when Mashiach will come, he writes, Shomi will not be there, not jealousy, and not competition, and not wars, because good will be plentiful, and everybody will have time to learn Torah. It will be a beautiful world. That's what Mashiach is all about. And he says in another line, he says, the whole purpose of Mashiach is to bring peace to the world. And he continues this, and it's all based, all Maimonides writing is basically based on this chapter. And it continues in number 7.
The cow and the bear will graze together, and their young will lie down together. The lion will eat straw like an ox.
Isn't this beautiful? What is this saying?
Vegetarian.
We'll all become vegetarian. That's Moshiach. Now you're talking.
So you're reverting back to to the Garden of Eden, before the flood.
Very good. Till now it was a joke. Really? What do you think the world? The world is coming towards Moshiach. One of the proofs is this, that we become more vegetarian. Yes. The world is going back to the original plan. People are living longer, like before from the eating from the tree of knowledge. People are healthier, taller. A part of women are leading the world. Just like Eve was the leader. She told Adam to eat or not to eat, right? The world is coming back to the original plan. A part of it is being vegetarian. According to many opinions, when Moshiach will come, the world will be a vegetarian world. The whole concept of killing animals will not be there. It really makes sense a lot. And this is what he says. The lion will be vegetarian. No killing. No, not animals even will not kill other animals. That's why the first 1500 years, he was not allowed to eat meat until the flood. What happened after the flood? God saw that people are eating other people. He said, you know what? He started to eat animals. That's one of the explanations. Now that we're coming to a good place, the people are relaxed and people are more meaningful, more spiritual, that everybody will be vegetarian, yes. Number 8.
A baby will play at a viper's hole, and an infant will stretch his hands over an adder den.
Question for you on that
Yeah.
one. Is that an undoing of the curse in the Garden of Eden?
Yes, the snake will attack the human,
Yeah.
and this is exactly the opposite. Yeah, the snake will get along with human. Exactly. That's exactly the metaphorical, the whole vision of Moshiach.
It's just a total peace between everything alive.
Exactly. Now, Maimonides says that this is more a metaphorical concept, that people will get along. You know what? People to get along is a bigger miracle than the lions with the snakes getting along. A much bigger miracle. You know why? Because animals do not have free choice. It's much easier to change their instinct. Much harder to change people. He says, we know. He writes like this. Moshiach is not here to make miracles, just to bring peace in the world. It's like almost an oxymoron. Moshiach is not here to make miracles, just to bring peace in the world. Just to make peace in the world, that's it. Just no ISIS, no fighting, no mother-in-law, no father, no good, everything is good. No neighbor fights, nothing, everything will be good. Oh.
So do you have to change human nature to do that, is the question.
Oh. What is the, here is the secret. How are we going to do this?
It depends who's left.
No, everybody will be left. Not going to kill everybody, God forbid. God is not coming to destroy the world. He built it. He's the CEO. He built something, he's not here to destroy it. He wants to keep it.
But he wants people to be better.
That he makes them better. We don't destroy them. Somebody is wrong, we'll shoot them. No, they didn't accomplish much. The accomplishment is to make him into a better person. What is the secret? How are we going to accomplish it? Number 9.
All
Okay,
right.
go ahead.
These snakes will do no damage or harm anywhere in my holy mount, for the earth will be filled with knowledge of God as water covers the seabed.
Whoa! The earth will be full with knowledge of God. That we sit here and learn Torah. You know that 200 years ago, most of the people did not have time to learn Torah. They worked so hard, they fell into sleep, they were dead. Today, humanity, society has so much free time and so much access to knowledge. That's another thing that's going toward Moshiach. Think about it. There is coming a time, and it's, because everything is computerized, that if you cannot work with your brains, you will not have a job. You will not have what to eat. It's already happening. People complain, all their jobs went to China. You can bring it back. Dreams. It's everything computerized. I was in wine factories in Israel. From taking off the grapes from the tree all the way to the box, the bottle in the box, all machinery. Not one person touched anything. And that was 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Wow.
What is driverless cars do you think is going to happen? The idea of people doing manual work will be over. It's a matter just of time, 20 years, 30, it's going to be over. Then there will be a question, if you can use your brains, if you can be a computer technician, you have a job. If not, you're garnished. Then the idea of what the simple people will do will be no such thing as simple people. Everybody will need education. Everybody will have to use his brain. It will be about knowledge. That's the bottom line. The famous line in English, knowledge is power, it'll be even more than. Then people have a lot of time. They have huge access to knowledge today with the internet. Everybody can be as the greatest scholar. Only on Shabbat you have to really know Torah, because you cannot type on your computer, on your cell phone. This week I had an argument with a rabbi. Another rabbi was standing, somebody asked me a question about cremation. I told them there is a verse in the Bible about it, I think in the book of Jeremiah. And the other rabbi looked at me like this. I typed it in a second. It's right there. I'm a scholar too. On Shabbos, they said in the Talmud there is an expression, a Talmid Chochem, a scholar, is considered like Shabbat. You know why? You can be, when you know if you're a scholar today, only on Shabbos, and you cannot type on the computer, you have to give an answer right away. They will know how much you really know. But this is going to be, the world will be filled with knowledge, like the water fills the sea. What is the metaphor? When you look in the sea, you don't see fish. You see only water. There's a whole world underneath. No. The fish are nullified to the water. They don't have their own existence. So too, human beings, the knowledge of God will be such an awareness about God that me and you will not be important. It will be the awareness will be everybody will be talking about God. You know, when the president walks into a room, the awareness in the room is all about the president. Nobody talks about who is this guy. Who is this guy? You know, nobody cares. Everybody wants to see the president or the famous person. The knowledge of God will fill the world that nothing goes to matter. And when nothing goes to matter, there will be no wars. It's written that when Moshiach will come, will be everybody will be plenty. You know why will be plenty? Because nobody will pick this up. Nobody will need it. The newspaper from yesterday you can get for free. It's old news. Nobody needs it. If money becomes not important, if material things become not important, so you won't take it. I don't care.
Is this a time of more manna? I mean, who's going to produce the food?
No, man, that's a whole other discussion, but you'll have food, don't worry. I get issues about it.
I mean, people still have to work. I mean,
Not exactly. Not the Jews, for sure. It's a whole discussion about that, but I'll tell you, after the resurrection of the dead, people will not live from food. It will be a different life. Be physical bodies, but our nourishment will be from spirituality. Not from food, not from physical food.
Similar to Adam and Eve prior to
Something like
the
this.
sin.
Yeah.
Their bodies were different. Their skin was
The whole
different.
thing will be
energy
different.
absorption.
Well, they were more spiritual.
You're right. The whole thing will be different. Then also we will not procreate after the resurrection of the dead. Whoever was born, shine. That's it. After the resurrection of the dead. But when Moshiach comes until the resurrection of the dead, there will be more a physical, regular world. At that time, people will walk, but it will be a different world. Like now, look. The moment there comes a driverless car, you know how much time we will have on our end? You know how much time we spend in front of the wheel?
A lot.
This will not be there. You know, you can do in the car so many good things you can do. People will not know what to do with their time, and so on and on. And they say that every person has like 3 hours every day in his life. 2, 7, 2.
And for people whose souls have been reincarnated.
I'm talking about everybody be resurrected. But even before the resurrection, I'm talking about the world will be a world that physical things will not need our attention. It will be provided. Look, just today in one cell phone you have the computer and a camera. When people talked about that 10 years ago, it sounds like a dream. It's all of combining space and time and making things available that we can concentrate on more knowledge. That we just have to direct it to the knowledge of God. But more people are actually interested today in knowledge of God too.
So does Maimonides talk about a two-stage resurrection then? Stage number 1 will be a natural era, and then
Yes.
stage number 2, post-resurrection, is supernatural?
Post-resurrection, Maimonides doesn't speak much about what's going to be, but Nachmanides speaks about it, and we go with Nachmanides' opinion. It's all discussion about Maimonides thinks that after resurrection, after everything, people will not be any more bodies and will live as souls. Nachmanides says we will live as bodies. That's the ultimate. The question is, what's the ultimate? The body should disappear, or the body should be there? That the Nachmanides says the body should be here because if I did a mitzvah with my body, it's not fair to get a reward only as a soul. I suffer in the physical world, then you give me the body. It's like I walked in America, you give me shekels, give me dollars. Then it has to be in a physical world. The reward has to be in the same physical world where there was the hard work. Okay, now we're going to number 10.
On that day, Mashiach will arise from the root of Yishai.
First of all, just to interrupt you a little bit. Ve'oyo b'yom ha'u. At that day, every time it's written that day, it's about the coming of Mashiach. Go ahead.
On that day, Mashiach will arise from the root of Yishai, will stand as a banner for the nations whom all the people will seek. His peaceful approach will earn him respect.
Then the whole world will ask him for his knowledge. Just like it's written about Solomon, that the queen of Sheba came and the world came to him, will be a leader that the world will respect and beg him for his guidance. And it's not so far-fetched. I mean, if it could be a bad leader who motivated 100 million Germans to do evil, could be a good leader, a charismatic leader that people, everybody, leaders of nations, everybody will come and ask him, tell me how to do this. And if his advice is working, people want to hear what he has to say. Everybody will want to hear what he has to say. Today is a world that people will seek knowledge from a person. He doesn't need any power. For example, the Rebbe, you're talking about the candidate. The Rebbe was a man that he didn't have any power. People standing in line for 10 hours, 20 hours, just to ask him one question, just to ask for one word. How should I do this? What should I do this?
But that is power.
That's what I'm saying. That's what a Moshiach will be, a man that not because he's not the power of the hand. His knowledge, his word, his mouth will bring everybody around them, not just Jews, the rest of the world. Because he cannot bring redemption only for the Jewish people. Yeah, you want to redeem, you have to redeem the world. But we are not living in a bubble. Everybody has to be connected.
When you talk about the concept of on that day, again, day doesn't seem to be 24 hours in that context.
The day means when the day will come, the time will come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not necessarily
It seems
one
to be
day.
an era.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, then there's again, number 11. On that day,
On that day, God will again show his strength to retake the remnant of his people, those remaining in Assyria, Egypt, Patros, Ethiopia, Elam, Shinar, Hamas, and the Sea Islands. It will be as if he will signal to the nations, and he will inspire them to release their Jewish inhabitants. Thus, he will assemble the exiles of Israel, gathered and dispersed of Yehuda, from the four corners of the earth.
whoa! Here he's speaking about
In gathering of the
the
exiles.
gathering of the exile. Now here comes something very important. Very, very important. What's first and what's later? First is what? The coming of Mashiach, and then will be the ingathering of the exile, right? That's the way my mind decides it. My mind decides literally, it's so similar to this, it's unbelievable. Even that I learned my mind is 1,000 times this chapter, and I knew the Haftorah, but I never made the connection. You learn every day something new. I have to learn many new things. In any case, my mind decides the same thing. Will stand up a king from the house of David, and he will be a great scholar, and he will inspire the Jews to live by the Torah. And then he says the next step will be he will gather the exile. He will build the temple, he writes. Then he will bring all the Jews from all over the world. Then we'll know it's Mashiach. That first we need a Mashiach. Mashiach will bring the exile, the Jews from all over the world. Why I'm making this a point? Mr. Gowan, you mind to move a little back? I'll tell you why I'm making this a point. Because many people want to say, no,
Zionism.
that what? That the state of Israel is a beginning of the redemption. The Rebbe said like this, the state of Israel is a big miracle, great miracle, amazing. It has nothing to do with redemption. Because redemption is an order. First Mashiach, then the gathering of the exiles. Not first gathering of the exiles and then Mashiach.
Doesn't Ezekiel have a reverse order then?
Very nice. Very nice. We're in Ezekiel.
Chapter 36?
I don't know. That one must be. Chapter 36. But here is the punchline. There is many things. That's why where the argument between the religious Zionists and Hasidim is about. Everybody writes these sizes of books. Everybody brings proof from the Talmud, from the. But the bottom line, you go by the codifiers, by people who wrote the code of Jewish law. Maimonides knew Ezekiel and knew Isaiah, not less than me and you, right? And he still came to the conclusion that this is the way it goes. And no other codifier wrote against them. That became the law. You understand what I'm saying? There is about every Jewish law you can find in the Bible and in the Talmud conflicting opinions. Anything. Then what are you going to do? And Ezekiel says this and this. But the Jerusalem Talmud says it this way, the biblical Babylon, you get lost forever. And what should they do? You go to the Code of Jewish Law, to the Shulchan Aruch, and you look what they wrote. They have the final say. They knew all of the above, and they still came to this conclusion, that this is the conclusion. Then the Rebbe used to say it like this. He said, Maimonides knew Ezekiel and he knew Isaiah. He knew the Jerusalem Talmud, he knew the biblical Talmud. The proofs in this way and the proofs in this. He still wrote a conclusion that first will be the coming of Mashiach, and then will be the gathering of the exiles. And because the Code of Jewish Law that was written by Yosef Karo later, and other codifiers never contradicted this issue, that the law, there is a system, there is rules. If the later codifier contradicted the one before that, we go by the later. But if he didn't contradict, it means he agrees. If he agrees, it means everybody agrees in Maimonides. That Maimonides has the last say on the issue. Then according to Maimonides, it first has to come a Moshiach. Moshiach will gather the Jewish people. That Israel is a huge miracle. The miracle of history, I would say, in the last 2,000 years. But there's nothing to do with the coming of Moshiach. Coming of Moshiach is a whole different story. Israel could bring Moshiach. If Israel would behave the right way, yeah, that would be a huge step stool for Moshiach, a huge jump for Moshiach. If God gave us the land of Israel, He says, okay, here it is, let's see what you do with it. Let's see what I'll do when Moshiach will come. How are we going to treat it? If we will treat it the right way, we will be deserving Moshiach to come and gathering all the angels from Israel. It's almost like you know what a mock wedding is? It was a mock Moshiach. Here I give you the land of Israel. Let's see what you do with it. You want Jews, we want Moshiach, right? You want Moshiach. You will have your own regime, we will control. Let's see what you need to do with it.
Their idea of kind of a stepping stone argument, that we're partners with God, we take the first step, God finishes the next step.
That's their argument. But let's say it is true, fine, take the stepping stone, but here it is. No. Today God tells us, no. I gave you a land. Now what? 2,000 years you wanted, oh God, just bring us back to the land of Israel. Fine, here is the land of Israel. Now what?
But do you love me?
Do you love me? It's like Levi is asking his wife, do you love me? Because being in Israel is one step, but living the Israel that we were praying for 2,000 years is not just to have a nice Tel Aviv city. It's a spiritual Israel. It's a Israel that's written here. Israel that people are honest and people are just and take care of the poor and they love each other and they don't fight. We have a long way to go. It's a huge miracle, but comparing these chapters, we have a long way to go. Okay, we are number 13. Here comes yeah.
Ephraim's historic jealousy for the throne of Israel will cease, and
the jealousy will cease. If you skip the parentheses, Ephraim's jealousy will cease. That's why Maimonides takes will be a world with no jealousy. Right here. Okay, continue.
And their antagonism to Yehuda will be eliminated. Mashiach ben Yosef, a descendant of Ephraim, will not envy Mashiach ben David, a descendant of Yehuda, and likewise Yehuda's Mashiach will not trouble Ephraim's. Together they will.
That's it. That's right here. That first of all, from here, Maimonides takes will not be jealousy. Ephraim will not be jealous of Judah, and Judah will not jealous of Ephraim. People will know how to get along.
Is it implying two Mashiachs?
Huh?
Is this implying two Mashiachs?
Yeah, Mashiach,
Yes.
we just mentioned it before. There could be a Mashiach, the son of Joseph, from the tribe of Ephraim. You know, to make peace between the Jews, it was two kingdoms. Kingdom of Israel, kingdom of
North
Judah.
and the south.
I mean, we need two Mashiachs. If not, it's not going anywhere. If it's a Mashiach only from your neighborhood, forget about it. We're not joining you. But as I said, Maimonides doesn't write about that. Therefore, it's not a must. Back to the same concept.
So Rashi is following Mashiach ben Yosef, apparently, from this concept.
Yes, I think so. I think in other places too. Okay, together.
They will swiftly attack the Philistines to the west and plunder the men of the east.
Their hand will be extended over Edom and Moab, and the Ammonites will be subordinate to them.
Okay, what means attack? We need to understand. We'll not attack. If you join us, you're more than welcome. We'll bring them around. Not necessarily by war. Bring them around. Doesn't have to be in a bad way. There is another prophecy in the book of Zechariah. Where's the prophecy that a third of the world will be eliminated? Where is it?
It's in Zechariah.
Zechariah, right? I once had a guy came to me, tells me, the world is coming to an end, and the third world is going to be destroyed, and it's going to be a nuclear power. I listened to it for 15 minutes, and I thought I'm dying. I told him, where you picked this up? What is this? And he's like, there's some people, depressed people like to hear depressed news. You attract the news that you enjoy to hear. It tells me it's in Zechariah. I look in Zechariah, my got me schwarz in the Augen. I mean, it's written. I told him, I cannot give you an explanation, but there is more to it. Then I saw the Rebbe has to talk about it. He says, God, who is called the merciful, who has mercy on all his creatures, we say in the Ashrei, will destroy a third of the world. I said, nobody's going to be destroyed. People will do tshuva. What will happen is, as I said before, the concept of reproduction will not be there. Then the people will live a good life to be 120 and die little by little. The Jews will have a resurrection of the dead, to live forever. But the rest of the world will go in a normal, healthy way. But they will cease to exist because there will not be any more reproduction, not to the Jews, not to the non-Jews. But I mean to say the same thing is here. It doesn't mean it's going to have to be a war. All of this can be accomplished without one bullet. Look, the revolution, the communism collapsed without one bullet. When the Rebbe was right before he got sick, the Rebbe said that this is a sign of Messianic time. Who would believe that communism will collapse without a bullet? Who would believe such a thing? If you would tell it a year before, you would tell it to somebody, tell you you have a fever, you have to see somebody. Okay, number 15.
God will dry up the Nile, the tongue of the Egyptian sea. He will raise his hand over the Euphrates River with his powerful wind, and he will split the river into 7 streams so that it can be trodden with shoes.
We will split the river into seven streams. How many streams were the splitting of the Red Sea was, according to the Medrash?
For each tribe.
12. Here it's 7 streams, because the whole nation is one nation, but there is 7 ways to serve God. The branch of the menorah has 7 branches. That every Jew will have his way, so to speak. It's also compared to the 3 fathers and the 4 mothers, together at 7. It's not by the tribe, 12 tribes, it go higher. The tribes are the son of Jacob.
Patriarchs, matriarchs.
Patriarchs and matriarchs. Yes. Go ahead, number 16.
It will become a highway for the remnant of his people who will remain from Assyria, just as there was for Israel on the day that they came up from the land of Egypt.
Just as like the exodus from Egypt to be another exodus. Egypt, the exodus from Egypt will be replayed. And in a bigger way, in a much more calm. It's written that we were hastened out of Egypt, we were chased out of Egypt. It's written that the prophet said that Moshiach will come, we will not be rushing out. We'll go with B'shuva v'nachas tivoshem. It's written in the prophet. Where is it written? Somewhere in Isaiah. That you'll go out with in comfort and in a relaxed way.
Somewhere around 50 or something like that.
Somewhere in Isaiah. Okay, now comes the end of the Haftorah. It's chapter 12.
And you will say on that day, I thank you, God, for you were angry with me, but now let your wrath calm down and comfort me.
You know what's written in this verse? Unbelievable. The Talmud brings an example. A guy was in a rush to a boat. Two partners were supposed to go on a business trip and taking a boat. And one guy rushing to the boat, tore, he got hurt, his leg went on a nail or something. And he hurt himself, and he was so upset, he was cursing out the whole world that he missed the boat, and he's now this, and he's so in pain, and God is so bad to him. Then he heard the boat sank. He started to thank God. Oh, thank you, God, for doing. Well, suddenly, if your food doesn't hurt you, when Moshiach will come, he will say thank you for all the sorrows that we had to in exile. Yeah. It will be such a redemption that you say, everything was worth it. The Rebbe spoke about this line many times. I'll say it that day, thank you, God, for all the suffering that you gave me. Because the reward is so big that it was all worth it. That now we cannot even imagine it. What make worth it, whatever the Jewish people endured. But there will be a day that we will appreciate and we will be happy of all the suffering that we had because of the reward, that the level that we'll reach.
Is this the kind of the same rationale that some people have used to justify the Holocaust? That we finally got Israel as a result?
I'm not justifying that. We'll finish in a minute. But that's just when I justify another person's neck, it's not. I'm saying, it was worth it. Let's ask the guy who's dead if it's worth it. I'm saying, Israel for this year it was worth it. First of all, it wasn't. But let's say even it was. Who am I to even say such a thing? But here we're talking about a state of mind that all the Jews, everybody was saved. Continue, number 2.
Since the God of my salvation is with me, I will be secure and not fear. My salvation came from my attesting to the might of God and singing his praise.
You know, this line is the beginning of the Havdalah every Saturday night. Comes from Inei el Yeshuati Eftach velo Efchad ki aziv v'zimrati Adonai va'ili lishua u'shavtem mayim b'sasom ma'inei Yeshua. So far is the beginning of the Havdalah. Every Saturday night we give ourselves strength. Shabbos we disconnect all our electric devices. You know, it was in Vogue magazine. What it's called? The women magazine, what's the name for it?
There is a Vogue magazine.
This week I learned it, no name. Telling me, yeah. First time I heard about it. Somebody sent me an article. Then it's written that many non-Jews adopted the concept of Shabbos. That you close all your cell phones and all everything, you have a Friday night dinner. It became a thing to do in New York. Talk about Messianic times. Why? Because
you can talk to each other.
You can talk to each other. That Saturday night, when Shabbos is over, there is a certain sadness. Everything is waiting for you. All the troubles. You just don't have the computer. This guy. Then
This was in vogue?
Yeah. No, not the Saturday night, but the idea that everybody,
I think
this week.
The Mashiach will be here next week.
It's a cell phone holiday or something.
Yeah, they said like a cell phone holiday, there is people who are doing it every Friday night. Yeah, I just saw it today. Then I told my wife it's Vague magazine. She looked at it, she tells me it's Vogue, not Vague. I read it, it's the same thing to me. Then they take from these verses some strength to Saturday night to start the new week. Continue, number 3.
You will draw water endlessly with joy from the springs of salvation.
You'll draw water, but you have to draw it. It doesn't come to you. You have to draw it. Go ahead, continue.
On that day you will encourage and say, give thanks to God. Call out his name. Make his deeds known among the nations. Remind each other that his name is exalted.
You know what this is meaning? Chizkiyahu, that goes back to Chizkiyahu, the beginning of the story. God made for Chizkiyahu such a huge miracle, right? Chizkiyahu did not praise God in the world for the big miracle that he made. He didn't go out and say, God, what a big miracle. The Talmud says something very interesting. Okay, let's read one. Go ahead, read number 5.
Sing to God, for he has done a great thing. Let this be known throughout the earth.
Continue.
Raise your voice in joy, you who live in Zion, for the Holy One of Israel is great, due to the wonders that he has performed among you.
There is a Talmudic story that God wanted to make Chizkiyahu the Moshiach. That Midas Adin the Satan, the judgment, came to God and says, "You want to make Chizkiyahu Mashiach? King David praised you so much for the miracles that you made. You made for Chizkiyahu such big miracles that you didn't make for King David, and he didn't praise you. And because of that, God did not make him the Mashiach." And right after the collapse of Soviet Union, the Rebbe had a whole talk that if they should never repeat the mistake that Chizkiyahu did, that they didn't praise God for the miracles. And we should go out, because if not, we might miss the point, miss the boat. That we see a miracle, we should stand up and thank God and praise God. The whole world should know that God made a miracle to the Jewish people. And then we'll deserve for more miracles.
So you think according to some, Hizkiyahu has a second chance to become the Mashiach?